Ocala.
All right, 8 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Robin, remember that stopwatch I bought?
Yes, I do.
Can I ever tell you why I bought that stopwatch?
Why?
Because I heard that us guys think about sex every 17 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I would just, every time I think about it, I'll just hit the button and then see if it's 17 seconds later when I think about it again.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes it did. Sometimes it's kind of accurate. It's almost accurate. And I started thinking, well, is that a bad thing? I don't know. And if somebody can make a blanket statement and it actually applies to me, does that mean every other? I mean, how many men are there in the world? There's got to be like 3.5 billion or something, right?
Wow. And even when guys have it, you guys still think about it every 17 seconds. Like after
That's
the
true.
event
That's
and
true.
stuff. Oh, okay.
No, I think there's probably about a 20-minute period afterwards that you're thinking about scrambled eggs or something. You're thinking about something else.
Then you're back on the 17 seconds.
So then, as we get older, you say, well, okay, I understand why this happens. I mean, from the moment you first. Dr. Ruth used to say you're sexualized. The first sexual experience is when you're sexualized.
Yeah.
And she would always say it has to be a healthy first experience, which of course goes without saying. But I mean, once it happens and you realize, wow, look at this, gosh, this great thing I can do that makes like explosions in my brain.
Yeah.
Of course you're going to think about it all the time. But what happens as we get older, and then the information I always hear about men, we're not able to. We become droopy. And you women,
guys.
And it hurts, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's where we're going with this. Believe it or not. Dr. Donnica Moore has been on everything. I think she's even been on our show before, correct?
Yes, she has. Yes,
She's been on The View, Dr. Oz, Good Morning America, The Today Show, The Wall Street Journal. Well, she writes for them. The New York Times, Business Week, CNN. And she's going to talk about a book called Women's Health for Life, written by women for women. And she's going to specifically talk today about sexual health issues affecting women who are 50 years old or older.
Yep, that's me.
Which is you. I'm that old, but I'm not a woman. So I still have that 17-second thing going on.
There you go.
Dr. Donnica Moore, good morning, doctor.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Where are you right now?
I'm in New Jersey, wishing I was in Orlando.
How is it? How is it in New Jersey right now? Snowing?
Well, actually, it's sunny, but it's cold. It's really cold.
Robin's son lives in New Jersey, by the way.
Oh, wow. That's great. And
he loves it.
my daughter right now is living in Orlando.
Wow.
What a coincidence. This is crazy.
That's right.
Why do people move so far from their parents? I don't understand.
I know.
Well, she's just there for the semester. She's doing the Disney college internship program.
Oh, how wonderful. She will have the best time ever.
So that would make...
She is loving it.
That would mean you're pushing 50. If you
I like you already.
Well, thank you for being on the air with us today. I've often wondered about the waning sexual desire that you read about. I mean, do you think it's God's intent that we start to say, you know what, I'll go get a cup of coffee instead of sex? I mean, does that happen? I mean, it's supposed to happen, right?
Well, God and I haven't discussed this today yet, but I will ask him later. I think from an evolutionary perspective, the idea was that we were supposed to be have the greatest sexual desire during our most fertile period, and that guarantees the continuation of the species.
Makes sense, right?
And we see that in all animal species. However, I think it's a myth that our sexual desire decreases after 50, and several studies have looked at that, including a huge subset of the Women's Health Initiative, which is the largest study ever in women, looked at 27,000 women from 50 to 79 and asked them about their levels of sexual satisfaction, their levels of sexual interest. And the punchline of this study was that the overwhelming majority of women were very satisfied with their level of sexuality and their interest in sex, as well as their sexual satisfaction. Only 8% of the women said they were having sex too frequently. But some interesting
Too
findings
frequently.
were, right, of the women who were not satisfied with their levels of sexual satisfaction, the number one reason was women who said they didn't have a partner. And of course, this is a huge issue with divorce rates increasing in people over 50, as well as women having an increased likelihood of being widowed for longer, since women live on average about 5 to 7 years longer than men. And as we're living longer, that's becoming more of an issue. But the other thing that women indicated who were not satisfied with their sex lives said that medical problems interfered with their sex lives. And the number one medical problem that interfered was what they called vaginal dryness, which, of course, in the medical profession we call vulvar vaginal atrophy. So we abbreviate it VVA because that's a lot to say. And these are the changes
It's
that
fun to
occur.
say, though. It's a lot, but it's
Try that at your next cocktail party.
That's it.
okay, I'm sorry. That's my job, by the way. My job is to find something funny to say and then say it.
But, the good thing is, with a topic like this, which is embarrassing for a lot of people to talk about, it's good to joke about it, but I never want to minimize what a problem
that's a
this
good
is
point,
for the
yeah.
patients who suffer from it. And it's not a few. It turns out this affects about half of all menopausal women, which is 32 million American women. So what happens is, as we age, our estrogen levels start to decrease. Of course, this is what leads you into menopause in the first place, but it also affects several other organ systems in our body, leading to increased risk for numerous diseases, disorders, and conditions, one of which is vulvar vaginal atrophy. There's actually, we only need, for those of us who are approaching 50, we only need to look in the mirror to see the changes that aging has on our faces. We see wrinkling, we see the thinning of the skin, we see, some sagging. Gravity is not your friend.
No.
And your gynecologist can see the same changes in your vaginal walls. So the tissue thins, it becomes what we call friable, which means very easily irritated. And that can lead to painful sex for, millions of women. So it is a problem. Many of these women, of course, are suffering in silence because, as women, that's what we do, especially.
Well, yeah. Can I put you on pause right there and ask about that? Because assuming this is a loving couple, why is she silent? Why doesn't she say to him, "This is hurting me. Can we?" I mean, what would you say? Don't do it at all, or find a fix for it. What was that? Why is he so silent? Because a guy feels like it's. I mean, all of a guy's life. I mean, he knows this is something that's great for him, but a loving man says, "You know what? I want this to be good for you too."
And most women need to hear that more. And that's a great message as we go into Valentine's Day. I know this is going to shock you, but there are a couple of women out there who fake their responses to their level of enjoyment.
I'm absolutely astounded.
And that's really totally wrong.
I wasn't going to rat out the sisterhood on this one. But there are many reasons for that. And the number one reason is she doesn't want him to feel bad.
Yeah.
So she doesn't want him to feel like he's hurting her. She doesn't want him to feel like this.
She also wants him to get done. I mean, okay.
It's time for my show on TV.
Yeah. You know what? That was great. It looks like it was great for you too.
I'm going shopping now.
Right. But and again, we can, I love to joke about it as much as the next person, but I'm not suffering from this. But I think, the psychology is very complicated. I think there are issues of embarrassment, there's issues of guilt, there's issues of shame, there are issues of misinformation. So there are a lot of women who mistakenly think, well, this is it. Finished at 50.
Wow.
This is the way it's supposed to be. Then there are other women who feel like, well, there's nothing that could be done about it. Or maybe they've tried lubricants, and for some women that works. For many other women, that doesn't work because it literally just glosses over the problem and doesn't really address the problems with the vaginal tissue. And it's not necessarily a conscious decision on the part of the women, because for most women this doesn't happen overnight. It's not a situation where one day you're fine and the next day, oh my God, what is this? And that's why younger women, if they're having a oh my God, what is this kind of problem, they go right to the doctor. But older women, it happens so gradually over time that they may not be aware that they're pulling away or that they're shying away from intimacy. Because obviously, 50 Shades of Grey notwithstanding, most women aren't turned on by painful sex. And so if it's painful, they're not going to really be into
Makes me want to watch the movie even more. Now I really want to watch. All right, Doctor, we have to take a little break. I think some of my most uncomfortable questions are after the break. So,
can't wait.
Dr. Donnica Moore on the phone. We'll talk about sexual health issues affecting women over 50, and we'll be right back. This is WOCA Ocala.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Sunshine today with a high of 64 to 68, then clear and chilly tonight. Lows ranging from the upper 30s in a few inland spots to 45 along the coast. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and breezy with a high of 68 to 72. Then on Friday, mostly sunny and noticeably cooler with highs ranging from the mid-50s in the northernmost part of the zone to the low 60s in the south. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Whether you're building it up or knocking it down, get it done, rent it now. Sunbelt Rentals is here to make your job a little easier. Our knowledgeable staff will help you find the right equipment for any job, big or small. Did you know that Sunbelt Rentals carries heaters, air conditioners, generators, lighting, traffic control, and so much more? So whether you're building it up or knocking it down, we've got the equipment you need. Get it done, rent it now. And right now, for a limited time, you can have it for less. Just by mentioning this ad, if you rent it Friday afternoon, you can keep it the whole weekend and only pay for one day. But this is a limited time offer, so stop into Sunbelt Rentals today, Northwest 27th, just a quarter mile east of I-75. For more information, just give us a call, 352-369-9101. 352-369-9101. Sunbelt Rentals. Get it done, rent it now. 352-369-9101.
Stay informed on everything going on in the Villages with the Village Spectator newspaper. The Village Spectator is exclusively devoted to the Villages with news, commentary, and more. And yes, they have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask is that you tell them where you heard about them. Call Tom's Picks at 804-1223 and pick up your copy of the Village Spectator today.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
All right, Dr. Donnica Moore is on the phone with us up in New Jersey, where she's freezing, and her daughter is down here, where she's comfortable. And let's see, we're talking about sexual health issues affecting women age 50 plus. Doctor, let me see. The other day, or the last week or so, we had a topic. It was medical procedures that are no longer done. Okay. So there was a procedure, and we all giggled over this one, but I want to apply it to what we're talking about here. The procedure was, here's the uncomfortable thing here. And Robert, you remember this, right? Mm-hmm. When women, I guess once upon a time, because it was believed that women didn't have orgasms, mm-hmm. and therefore the men didn't feel a need to make that happen or whatever. Plus nobody took baths, so everybody stunk. And anyway, so so the women would go, I'm all antsy, I'm all irritable, I don't know what's going on, I'm beside myself, I'm so the doctor would say, well, lay down, and he would apply some oil, and long story short, he would let his fingers do the walking, and she felt fine afterwards. Mm-hmm. So
did you see, that was a movie, did you see the movie?
No.
Hysteria.
What movie was that?
Oh my God, it's a terrific movie. It's called Hysteria, and it stars Maggie Gyllenhaal. It is and I forgot the name of the guy.
Really? And what year does the movie take place?
It takes place in Victorian England.
Nice.
And it's basically, I don't want to ruin the punchline of the movie, but it basically tells the story that you're telling, and then it tells the story of the invention of a very popular sex toy.
What's the sex toy called? What's this?
It's a vibrator.
A vibrator. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
So the vibrator replaced that, and it was actually invented by a doctor. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing that was like the late 1800s in Victorian England.
Wow.
So
okay.
Yeah, I mean, this has been an issue for a long time.
Well, so if it's painful, but she still wants it, I mean, wouldn't that be the answer to the problem?
No, because the vibrator would be just as irritating.
Oh.
Yeah, that was
so.
Oh, really?
So Yeah, so the good news is there are treatment options available. Before we depress everybody.
Maybe I don't know how to use a vibrator. I got to look at some porno, I guess.
Well, don't women sometimes feel inadequate, though, once they go through menopause and then they have those feelings and they have the dryness and they are kind of embarrassed to talk about it because their childbearing
Absolutely.
years are done. And, that's really detrimental to the woman's psyche.
Absolutely, and this is why it's important for her to talk to her physician. First of all, as I alluded to, there are treatment options available. But of course, it's important to make a diagnosis. The number one cause of painful sex after menopause would be vulvar vaginal atrophy, as we discussed, but there are many other potential causes. So it's important to get a physical exam and have a diagnosis, and then your doctor can address the problem. It could be something fairly simple, like a yeast infection or, another type of infection, or it could be a bladder problem that is manifesting, just with pain with intercourse. So, it could be a lot of things, but the overwhelmingly most common would be vulvar vaginal atrophy. The treatments, of course, for some women, lubricants do the trick. They simply glide over the problem, but they don't change the integrity of the vaginal tissue. There are two categories of treatment that would affect and improve the integrity of the vaginal tissue. The first would be estrogen, and when we talk about estrogen, we're not talking about one drug. We're talking about a whole category of pills, patches, creams, suppositories, etc. And that's a very good option for a lot of women, but a lot of women are also concerned about the side effects
Exactly.
of estrogen and things that they've heard in the media, etc. So since 2013, there's an alternative that's available called Osphena, which is the only non-estrogen oral medicine to treat moderate to severe painful sex due to menopause.
Oh, so that would be in place of the estrogen then.
Exactly. So Osphena is a drug that's called a SERM, which stands for Selective Estrogen Receptor Modulator, which is why we call it a SERM. And the way SERMs work is they work like estrogen in some tissues of the body, but not like estrogen in other tissues of the body. So in some women, their doctors may feel that it's got a better side effect profile for them. But this is a very highly individualized discussion that a woman needs to have with her doctor, and her doctor can make a recommendation and she can discuss her concerns. Obviously, every medicine has side effects. So, she needs to go through that discussion with her physician and decide what's right for her.
Wow, I just went to your website. You're a pretty lady. Sorry, I was distracted. You could be an actress. You're no Dr. Ruth at all. No offense to Dr. Ruth, but,
She's a little bit older and a little bit. I did meet her. I have met her several times, and she was a wonderful inspiration and terrific woman. Read her biography one of these days. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I have a serious question about the pill, the oral pill. When women are given the choice to have estrogen, I guess after a hysterectomy, then they're warned that if you take this, there's a
you're gonna have cancer.
You could get cancer. Does the pill have that same kind of warning with it?
Are you talking about Osphena?
Yeah.
Yeah. Osphena does have a black box warning, and it says that Osphena may increase the risk of cancer of the lining of the uterus, which is called the endometrium. It may also increase the risk of stroke and blood clots.
Oh my goodness!
So those are things that women have to really take into consideration. Then there are nuisance side effects, or what doctors call nuisance side effects, which are things that aren't life-threatening and aren't major, but can be very, very annoying. Mm-hmm. And they may include hot flashes, muscle spasms, vaginal discharge, and increased sweating. Of course, many of those things are also symptoms of menopause.
Do you take once you started? Do you not stop it, or can you just take it for a week and then have sex and then say, "Okay, I'm done for a while"?
No, this is the kind of medicine where to get the maximum benefit from it, you would have to take it for at least 12 weeks. This is not the kind of thing where you take a pill and you see the results in an hour. We know what kind of medicines those are.
Yeah, that's the blue pill, right?
Those are not for women.
No.
So do women make a mistake by going to the drugstore and purchasing the lubricants over the counter instead of going to the doctor first?
What I would recommend is try the lubricants and see if that works for you. If it does, you're good. But you still need to go to the doctor anyway to get a proper diagnosis. Mm-hmm. Some women may get relief from lubricants for a while, and then it may not help anymore. And this is why it's so important for women to see their gynecologist every year, if I could just throw in a plug for that. Because first of all, their bodies change. Second of all, medical information and medical science changes. And third of all, it is important for them to stay on top of things like the screening tests that they need on a regular basis and to review their medications. Many times, especially for people over 50, many times we make the mistake of prescribing medicine and then continuing to prescribe it for years and years and years and years without thinking, well, do we still need this? Mm-hmm. So, that's another issue that people need to be aware of. I do recommend that anybody who's listening who has this problem really needs to make an appointment. And if you're embarrassed talking to your doctor about it, write your questions down on paper.
I would think so. I mean, usually we get more phone calls. We haven't had any. I think everybody's embarrassed. They're listening, but they don't want to call in. I can understand that too, right? The website looks like it's got a lot of information on it. I can tell what it is because I just went to it. It's drdonnica.com, DRDONNICA.com, and the book, Women's Health for Life. How do we get the book?
It is a few copies are left on Amazon.com. I'm in discussions with the publisher now about coming out with a second edition. So the first edition is almost out of print. So that's an issue we're in discussions about. I do have a lot of information that's in the book on the website, but there's also a specific web page for this issue, which is called painfulsexaftermenopause.com. And for those women whose doctors do recommend Osmina, they can download a savings card from that page.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Women's Health for Life is the book, drdonnica.com. And real quick, what's the other website?
painfulsexaftermenopause.com.
Okay. Doctor, thank you. It was fun and informative. Thank you for being on the air with us today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
All right. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. President Obama sending Congress a request for military force against ISIS, urging lawmakers to show the world we're united in our resolve.
This authorization would prohibit enduring combat operations against ISIS. It also would terminate after 3 years unless Congress renews it. Both those points sure to be debated by lawmakers ahead of any vote.
Fox Radio's Jared Halpern in Washington. Houthi rebels in Yemen's capital seizing our embassy vehicles after the ambassador and diplomats leave the country. According to local members of embassy staff, the U.S., Britain, and France closing embassies there as the security situation worsens. And tonight's Powerball jackpot, the fifth largest in U.S. history.
Estimated at $485 million, ticket sales surged as millions hope to cash in.
Fox Radio's Steve Rappaport. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Superstorms, road closures, flooding, airports snowed in. If you travel for work like I do, news like that can ruin your whole day. It did mine until I discovered Citrix GoToMeeting online meeting software. With GoToMeeting, you can meet from anywhere using your computer, tablet, or smartphone. No expensive travel required. And with HD video, you simply turn on your webcam and it's just like being in the same room, which means you can stay productive no matter what the news brings.
Visit GoToMeeting.com and start our free 30-day trial.
Do you boast about the proficiency of your trusted financial calculator? Does getting your business a refund feel like an act of heroism? If so, you might be gear-centric, someone who knows that the right office gear helps you do great things. And at Office Depot and Office Max, we have the quality tax gear you need. Right now, save $10 on TurboTax and H&R Block Deluxe and higher. Office Depot and Office Max. Gear up for great. Offer ends 2/14.
Gene Powell Pasture Mowing. Our tractor services include bush hog, disking, front end loader, box blade, and stump grinding. We also have zero-turn mowers for the smaller paddocks, aisleways, fence rows, and lawn care. Fence row spraying is also available for weed control. We are licensed and insured. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440, or online at powellgene, Gene, at yahoo.com. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing.
Here are today's headlines from